Hey guys, it's Jacob, and welcome to FPM Play. Today, we're going to be talking about the Game Awards and new stuff that came out here and there. And also, some new movie stuff came out, new news, more pictures for Ready Player One, and that'll be later, but let's get into it. Hello, Kieran.
Hello, Jacob.
Hello, Mr. Wood.
Hello, Jacob.
Hello, Poppy.
Hey, Jacob, how are you?
Okay, let's get into it with Check It Out.
Well, aren't you forgetting to say hello to somebody?
Alexa. Hello, how are you doing today?
I'm good. Ready to help.
There you go.
Okay, so Kieran's now our official co-host.
I'm super excited.
Yeah. So
Yeah, we got some really good feedback on our last episode. Seems like you guys have some pretty good chemistry, so we're going to keep that ball rolling.
yeah. So let's start out with Check It Out.
You want to explain how the show works? You know, sort of how Jeff Canada does on his show.
Oh, yeah. So FPM Play is a pop culture talk show. We usually talk about video games, TV shows, movies.
Anything pop culture, basically.
Yeah. So, yeah, we'll talk about news, but you won't expect the weather from us or the newest Black Friday sales. You know, we'll be talking about new content.
Unless
new
they're video
games.
game related, right?
Yeah. But, yeah, that's it. So we usually have at least three segments. We always have the review and then two other segments that could be anything. So
Nope, not anymore. We're changing that up.
it's always going to be Can't Wait.
Yeah, well, you forgot to mention something. We're kind of relaunching FPM Play
Oh, yeah.
in a bigger, grander way.
So
Get
now our two segments are Check It Out and Can't Wait. It could change a few times, but those are mostly permanent schedules or whatever.
Yeah, so I think what you'll find is on our last episode, you may have noticed the name Pop Talk. So this episode is the first one that we're actually going to record and put on YouTube. We're going to launch it kind of a little bit bigger. FPM Play will be a show within Pop Talk. And then all of our segments that we used to do, like Grudge Match, trivia, things like that, we're going to turn into little mini episodes and just kind of throw them in the feed. But the main, like the mothership FPM Play will be Check It Out, Can't Wait, and a review.
Yeah, so Pop Talk is going to become our network.
Lean into the mic.
Pop Talk is going to become our podcast network. So we used to have a lot of different segments on FPM Play. Now we're splitting that into other segments, and we'll also have not new TV shows, new podcasts. Like Poppy's doing a podcast with his friend Kyle or Mr. Wood.
Yeah.
But yeah, so FPM Play is soon going to become mostly run by kids. But let's get into the show. Let's start with Check It Out.
Check it out. What's it all about? We're working out. Let's turn this party out.
Check It Out is when we talk about stuff that we would like the people listening and watching to check out. So, for instance, if I wanted to recommend a book, a movie, a TV show, I would say my Check It Out is blank. That movie's great. 5-star rating. But yeah, so our Check It Out is mainly going to be the new gaming awards. There's a lot of stuff new there, and also it is going to be some other stuff. So
Yeah, and I mean, it could be anything that anybody wants to talk about. There's just a few ideas on our notes here.
yeah, so my Check It Out is Crisis on Earth X. Crisis on Earth X is part of the CW shows, The Flash, Arrow, Supergirl, Legend of Tomorrow. If you don't watch them, go watch them because they're really good, and we'll give you some street cred on your DC comic books if you don't know anything about them. A little bit, because the heroes are altered a little bit for the TV shows. Anyways, so Crisis on Earth X is their second crossover. So every TV show characters crossed over into one big thing. And this story was in the multiverse, there's this Earth called Earth X. It's the 53rd Earth. Nobody talks about it because it's so bad. and it's where we lost the war, we lost the war and the Nazis took over the whole entire world.
And the war being the Second World War.
Yeah, World War II. So Earth X has no new characters. If you catch up on the shows, at least to episode 7, the next episode will be Earth X. What's the order?
The order of the episodes? Oh, I don't remember. I'm pretty sure Supergirl was first, Flash was second, Arrow was third, and Legends of Tomorrow last. Actually, I do remember that was it.
Yeah.
Is that where all the Red Sun characters come from? Is that Earth X or I've played them on Injustice?
Like in the comics?
Yeah, like the Red Sun Batman and they all look
Yeah,
like communist Batman, Red Sun Superman, who's just kind of evil.
I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah. That could be cool.
So, Kieran, what is your check it out?
No, let's finish talking about Earth X. I mean, nobody else got to chime in.
Oh yeah. So, do you know anything about the TV shows?
I've seen I think I saw one episode of Legends of Tomorrow, but I don't watch the CW DC shows. Legends of Tomorrow seemed pretty good. The only thing that I didn't think was awesome about it was the CGI wasn't as great, but I mean it's a TV show, so I can't expect much in that perspective. But it looked like a pretty well acted and well done TV show.
Yeah.
You know, I think they've actually cut back on the number of episodes to put that money towards some CG, which is pretty
Yeah, the
bold.
CGI is pretty good.
It's gotten a lot better.
So,
So just out of curiosity, why? I mean, do you watch the CW shows?
I don't watch them, no.
So why not?
I don't know. I watched Arrow way back
Yeah.
and didn't love the first season of Arrow. Just felt a little cheesy. I don't know. I guess it is the budget thing. I used to watch Smallville back in the day. I liked Smallville. That was cool. I guess it was kind of similar too, though. I don't know. Haven't watched that one. Watched some of the Flash. Captain Cold Captain Cold seemed a little cheesy.
I think they've definitely found their stride on those shows. Cool. So definitely worth to check it out.
yeah. The only thing that I don't like about the show is that people die, and in real life they just lost their contract and they're moving on. But I usually like when the characters don't leave. So, let's get on to the next check it out, Kieran.
My check it out is gonna be, since I'm on Instagram all the time with my Instagram account, I'm gonna say check it out, Accurate MCU on Instagram. It's an Instagram page where this guy compares the MCU to comics and just talks about the MCU in general. It's very good. He does comic comparisons where he does a comparison of the character in the MCU to the character in the comics. He does he'll say did you know that some so and so happened and you might not noticed it, like little Easter eggs. And it's really interesting. I follow him and he posts once a week a comic comparison. So he's a really good Instagram page to go check out.
What was the name of it again?
Accurate MCU. He also has a backup page called MCU Accurate because his account was taken down.
Oh wait, I follow Accurate MCU.
Cool.
Yeah.
He's awesome.
Blurred Vision, right?
Yeah.
They're not the same person at all.
But they're the same kind of sphere.
Yeah.
Sphere.
Blurred Vision talks about CW a lot though.
Okay.
So they're doing actual screenshots from the movies and then screenshots from the comics. And
Yeah. And
What he does for the comic comparisons is he takes the character from the MCU and puts a picture of it beside him from the comics. And it's not just a picture. He does it really well. He's really good at editing photos and stuff. He makes them in the same position and everything. Even he can alter their positions and stuff. I have no clue how he does it.
Yeah, I'm
but
not
it
sure
looks
he's
really
getting
good.
it as accurate as he's doing because they're in the same exact position.
Oh, that's pretty
So
cool.
that it's an even comparison. It's pretty darn
He's
good.
doing some serious Photoshop work.
It's some serious
And he
Photoshop.
talks about the differences in the MCU, what they did in the comics, right?
He has a YouTube page too. He does videos. His videos, I like his Instagram page better than his videos, but I still like both of them. You can check them all out on Instagram. I think he has a Twitter. You can check him out on YouTube too.
Okay, and we'll put links to that in the show notes for this episode as well.
Yeah. So, Mr. Wood.
So my check it out is that I've kind of shunned the X-Men for a while, and I'm kind of sick of it. I mean, maybe I'm old, but I like it when teams don't change members every few months for a crossover.
Yeah.
And I'm super stoked that Professor, I guess this isn't a spoiler alert because it's already come out, but Professor X has returned, and he did it in a really interesting and different, crazy, creepy way. Um, it's really cool. It happened in Astonishing X-Men, and I won't give away exactly how he did it because it's pretty twisted,
Yeah.
and not exactly nice. But he's young, and that's interesting. He's Professor X with legs and hair,
Yeah.
and that's pretty awesome. And he goes only by X.
Yeah.
That's
that
awesome.
part I don't.
I love it, man. He's young. He's not the professor. He's
Yeah.
X.
So I'm behind on my comics, but I jumped ahead to see what's going on there, and I thought it was cool that it wasn't some special event issue. It was just number 6.
Yep.
X just sounds like an emo band for some reason to me.
He is a little. I don't know. It's a little twisted.
This young dude with
I don't
this
wanna
long
ruin it,
hair
but
pops up.
He doesn't have long hair.
He doesn't have
He's
long
got,
hair. He
he's
has
got-
normal hair.
He does kind of have like really short hair.
Oh,
And he's in a familiar costume to everyone who's
Yeah.
been following Astonishing X-Men. But it's pretty awesome.
I would like to say something on this.
Just don't give away how it happened.
I won't. I don't love how Marvel is bringing back everyone, but I will say for this, they did it in a very cool way.
I didn't like the way he went down.
Yeah.
I didn't like. I mean,
But
I felt that was also kind of sudden.
I agree, but
it was
like
like we've got to kill somebody.
I agree, but with like Wolverine and all that, did they ever explain what happened with Wolverine?
Not yet.
He just comes back to life. I mean,
which one?
The
Wolverine.
The
He came
main
back
Wolverine.
like
Logan's
just
back.
recent.
Wolverine?
He
Logan's
just came.
back. Jean's back. You
I
know,
just-
so-
I think they're trying to make up for the kind of some of their mistakes they've made. Like they just
yeah.
kind of killed everyone and then changed everyone, and I feel like they're trying to kind of reboot it into a new, or the old Marvel.
It's definitely an interesting mix, right? Because they tried something new, which I definitely always applaud that. And you knew they were going to bring back all the classic characters. They kind of have to. But some of them really worked, right? Some of the new stuff really worked. Some of
Right.
it didn't. So you can't just throw away the stuff that did work. So now how can they coexist together? And there's potential for storytelling there, right?
Interesting chemistry between the new characters and the old ones.
Right. So now the old ones have become kind of the old guard, things like that. I was a huge fan of the Ultimate relaunch. I mean, that was
I love the Ultimates.
that was phenomenal as far as if you were going to start Marvel today, what would those characters look like? So if you want a good younger version of the classic characters, highly recommend going and looking at that.
The Ultimates is my favorite type of superheroes. Like, if you took the regular Falcon and compared it to the Ultimates Falcon, I'd rather have.
You talking about the Ultimate Universe Falcon?
Yeah, the Ultimate Universe.
Well, the Ultimate Universe was the foundation for a lot of movie stuff too. So.
Yeah, and also, so let me get this straight real quick.
Okay.
The Wolverine has been his Wolverine's daughter,
Laura.
Laura,
Laura.
X-23.
Yeah, X-23, and she's been the Wolverine, and then
For like a year and a
Wolverine-
half, 2 years ish.
Yeah, and then the original Wolverine was replaced by Old Man Logan, right?
Sort of. So the original Wolverine died. Then you had the Secret Wars, and out of that, always
You
quotes,
got Old
died,
Man
right?
Logan.
And then out of Secret Wars, when they merged the multiverse, they kept Old Man Logan around, and then X-23 became the Wolverine.
Yeah.
And now mysteriously the original Wolverine is back. So now you got a whole team of Wolverines.
Yeah, I don't like that. That's
Attack
I
Wolverine.
don't like
Even
that
though-
with the Spider-Man either. But
That would be pretty
2's
cool.
cool. 5 too much.
I know they do have a lot of.
Yeah, we got like four-arm Spider-Man and
Well, you have
The
you
Indian
have,
Spider-Man.
you have Miles Morales.
Miles
no, I'm talking
Morales
about
is awesome.
just in the main universe,
Oh,
right?
just in the main
You
universe.
still have-
you still have like 100.
You have Miles and you have all the girls.
Right, you have
Yeah.
Spider-Woman,
Spider-Gwen.
Spider-Woman, Spider-Girl,
Silk. Yeah,
Silk.
I mean, there's the
Spider-Gwen.
there's
Yeah.
there's a whole bunch of Spider.
I mean, if you think about it, after Secret Wars, Marvel's become really diverse with their characters.
That I do like.
That
I
is
do
very
like.
cool. But they've also become more DC-like in their multi-generational characters that are different, that are difficult to kind of suss out the difference between, Flash, older, former Kid Flash, current Kid Flash, Impulse Flash, Baby Flash. That show who's the new African American Kid Flash. So now you've got like 4 or 5 Kid Flashes running around.
Well, he's like the new Wally West, right? So
Right.
they got rid of the white Wally West, and now they have the black Wally
West.
Right.
But that merges with what they do on TV.
True.
Right? And
True.
almost everything in the comics, unfortunately, somehow has to support what's going on in TV. So,
I mean, when I heard about, all the new characters after Secret Wars, like Falcon, when he became Captain America, his replacement isn't the Falcon. When he had, like, wings, he was, like, Hispanic, right?
yeah, I think so,
Yeah, so...
I forget his name, but yeah.
For some reason, I feel like Marvel used to be black and white, and they used to be the comics on some newspapers, and then they took some color palette and slapped it on their canvas, and they got this new Marvel.
Yeah.
So,
But I agree. I mean, I do appreciate the taking chances. I just caught up on all the Miss Marvel stuff. That book is so good.
Miss Marvel was really...
Oh my god, the whole
That's one of the good things that came out of the new characters.
Miss Marvel is so good, and we have some very good friends that are Pakistani, and I'm not by any means an expert, but I do know the community. I do know some of the things, and I'm sitting there reading that, and I'm almost like tearing up because I was like, my friend's little girl can now see herself in these stories. And it's an accurate representation. And it's not representation for the sake of, oh, look at us, we're Pakistani. It's just who they are, right?
I think that's the key. I think if you're doing it genuinely, it's okay.
Yeah. And
if you're doing it just to check a box, then that's not cool at all. Because, like, the Red Wolf revival.
Or Black Panther.
I didn't like.
That
really bummed me out. Because I was like, wow, a Native American character for once. And it was the same old, same old.
Yeah.
Yeah, like we were watching... Right before we started doing the podcast, we were watching Secret History of comic books, and they made Black Panther just because a lot of people were asking for a black character,
right?
And they made this in the middle of civil rights movement,
right?
And they called him Black Panther
and Black Lightning on DC.
Yeah. So. There was a lot of stuff about that, and then when they made Luke Cage, there was still a lot of racist stuff about that with racist representation of black people. So when we look at this comparing to back then, this is really good for
light years better.
Yeah.
And to have fleshed out people like Black Panther now
to
the level they are is impressive.
Yeah.
Because they took Black Panther and the people that they made, back then, and then they made a whole black team of those characters with a little bit of new characters, and they showed how awesome they are. I read a little bit of it. Do you remember that team?
The Crew?
Yeah, the Crew.
Yeah, I read a little
Black
bit of that.
Panther
And the newest Ultimates.
Yeah. The newest Ultimates is, it's a good diversity there.
Yeah. So, the Ultimates are the Kid Avengers, right?
No, that's the Champions.
Yeah, the Champions are Avengers too.
Yeah.
No, the Ultimates. The Ultimates are Blue Marvel, America Chavez.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, all the girls.
No, Blue Marvel's a boy. Blue Marvel,
Listen.
America Chavez, Spectrum. Is that her name? Is it she changes her name constantly.
It used to be Photon.
Photon, Spectrum, Captain Marvel, whatever her name is.
Yeah.
The former Captain Marvel.
And I think actually Captain Marvel was on the team too.
She's the leader, yeah. And Black Panther and Galactus.
The Gold Galactus.
Good Galactus.
That was
good Galactus.
That's an interesting.
Good Galactus.
Really
cool. Good Doctor Doom.
I don't even know where we started.
We started by saying Professor X is back, and his name is X.
All right, so
and that's cool.
But
now there's a good Galactus.
I will say this. So, and this is totally off topic, whatever. When the Fantastic Four and all that stuff with the movie stuff went down, and they basically X'd the Fantastic Four comics, whatever, those characters, I guess Reed and Sue are out there somewhere. All we have is Johnny and Ben. They get shuffled on to other people's teams on the Guardians of the Galaxy or in Inhumans or whatever. But in reading the Ultimates, that feels like a Fantastic Four replacement. When you look at the kind of things that they're dealing with, the cosmic stuff and trying to deal with those big problems. I mean, that's what the Fantastic Four used to do. So I find that interesting that is kind of our surrogate Fantastic Four right now.
Well, it's
So,
interesting because the Fantastic Four started in like 61. So you had these 4 white folks with Invisible Woman was pretty much a 60s woman for the longest time. She's been greatly empowered over time, of course, and they had 2 little kids, and it was the family, which was cool at a time, but that's not what families look like.
Yeah.
So now you've got a team that's not a family at all, but still super diverse and extraordinarily powerful. Probably the most powerful team in Marvel, because Blue Marvel is a powerhouse.
Yeah.
They're bringing back. Well, not that they were ever gone, but they're making Thing and Human Torch a comic again.
Yeah, I saw that.
It's called
2-in-1.
2-in-1, Marvel 2-in-1. So it's basically the Fantastic 2.
Yeah.
And I think I'm sure they'll bring in the kids and Reed and Sue sometime soon.
Well, let's
Can I say one thing?
hold on. Let's touch on the Fantastic Four later in the show because we got a big topic coming up.
Can I just say it for right now? That
Go.
topic,
Which one?
the one topic that.
No. Let's save it. Let's save that for later.
Okay.
I mean, that's a whole thing we're gonna talk
Well,
about.
we can go back to this topic about the Fantastic Four not really being in the comics anymore.
Yeah, we'll touch that again. Okay.
Yeah. And one more thing about thinking about Fantastic Four and how they're not really connected to the Marvel Universe. They still have the characters and stuff in the comic books. It always also makes me feel like X-Men has become like a little separate universe in Marvel because you don't see them interact with a lot of.
They're trying to push the
people.
Inhumans as a replacement. It's just not working.
Yeah, and also just because, you don't see them that much crossing over unless it's like a big crossover or something like that.
Oh, that will change. All right.
Yeah, it will change.
time for
now
my
let's
check it
get
out.
to
Well-
Can't Wait.
I only got to do my check it out.
Oh, yeah, you check it out.
All right, I'll keep this quick. Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. I keep, talking about this show until somebody else. Jacob doesn't even watch Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
I started, I
Look.
know the base of the story, so I'm starting to watch season 5.
So, season 1 was a rough start. You got to the interaction with Winter Soldier and that whole crossover, and that was an amazing moment. If you didn't get to experience, I'm sorry you didn't get to experience it, because basically you watch Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. on Tuesday, and it had Jasper Sitwell saying that he's going to go get on the boat. You go watch Winter Soldier on Friday in the premiere, you see Jasper Sitwell sitting on the boat. Then, the whole thing with S.H.I.E.L.D. falling. Then you come back and watch the next episode, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., and it's right after that.
Oh, that's cool. Okay.
It was the best they've ever done in continuity with the movies and the TV show, and they timed it perfectly.
Well, Sif's in it too, isn't she?
Yeah.
Was in it.
She was in one episode in season 2. And they sort of did that with Thor: The Dark World, right? Because you had the whole ending in London, and then that very next Tuesday after the premiere.
That was the episode of Sif, right?
No, Sif came later. They were there kind of cleaning up the rubble, and there were some after effects of that in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. But since then, they've kind of distanced themselves from the movie because now you know the characters more. They have some of their own mythos. And season 3, I thought, did a great job with Inhumans. I mean, they basically told the same storyline from the comics with the Terrigen Cloud.
Right.
In the comics, in the show, they did it where they dispersed it through water instead of a big cloud or whatever. But same effect, right? And then the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. were helping out, and it turns out that one of the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. was actually Daisy Johnson, who is Quake. So now she's an Inhuman and has powers, and it's just kind of slowly been building up. And then last season was just amazing. They broke up this long 22-episode season into these pod stories, where the first one was Ghost Rider, and he had like a little 6-episode kind of arc. Then the second one was all about LMDs, right? All the life model decoys and introduction of that into the whole universe.
I know the last one was the simulated world, right?
Yeah, the last one was the framework.
Can I say what this one is?
Go ahead.
Framework was this villain put them in this place, or the framework is where the world.
That's already too much explanation. It was the
where-
Matrix.
Yeah, the Matrix, basically. The one twist was Hydra's taking over most of the world, so they're under Hydra control.
Yeah. So it led to some great storytelling, and now they're in space, and it's like this show constantly reinvents itself in such a way that it's just like, And now, after all those seasons, when you look at season 5, you know those characters. You actually like those characters. They weren't just complete unknowns.
Right.
So the stories kind of hit with a little bit more heft, and you kind of know what to expect. When Melinda May walks into the room, you know what's going to happen. You know what Mac's going to do. Have a soft part in my heart for
Yeah.
Fitz and Simmons, and they're, something always gets in the way of their relationship. It's just really good show, and to the point where I'm like, I've actually been enjoying the comic book more because they're taking those characters and moving them into the comics.
Right.
But Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., phenomenal show.
I had this one prediction about Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Since they're in space and they have to figure out a way to get home, right? That's going to prevent them from being in an Infinity War. That would be the big thing. Because I don't think they're going to be in Infinity War since there's this whole big conflict with TV shows and the movies. And they just can't, and the people who, the big two bosses,
So
Kevin
Feige.
Kevin Feige,
and what's his name?
well, I think Ike Perlman still has something to do with the TV, and that's where you find that rub.
Yeah, so they have a big conflict with the movies and TV shows.
Because otherwise, it's Jeff Loeb, and Jeff Loeb is amazing.
Yeah, so I don't think they're going to merge, and they're gonna figure out a way to hide the defenders and stuff. But I hope they're in the movie, but I don't think they're going to be in the movie.
So here's what I think. I know the Defenders aren't going to be in there because they've already said it, and I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
I mean, those are street level heroes. They don't want to be involved in that big stuff,
Yeah.
right? But this is Coulson, right? He was there from the beginning. He was the glue of the whole first phase 1. They still don't know that he's alive, which if you watch the show, it kind of makes sense. They've really gone into the shadows, especially after Winter Soldier. That's probably one of the whole destruction of Hydra is probably one of the best things that could have happened to the show, because that was an easy storytelling device as to why they never crossed paths again, right? He had to go completely underground. He was rebuilding S.H.I.E.L.D. from the shadows. There's no way the heroes could know that he's alive, right? So that they made that make sense. But I mean, I hear what you said about your theory. The end of episode 2 kind of killed that. So you probably haven't seen that in episode 2.
Oh no.
But the one thing they're doing different this year is because of the 8-episode Inhuman season that we had that was god awful, even though I watched that, they are going straight through every week with a new episode with no break. 22 straight weeks, 22 straight episodes. So the schedule is timed perfectly
For Infinity War.
for any kind of Infinity War impact that they want to do. And they've already shown that they know how to do it. That they don't need Kevin Feige and the movie people to tell them what to do. That they can easily interact. I mean, when Infinity War came out, not Infinity War, sorry,
Avengers.
Age of Ultron.
Right. Oh,
They crossed over with Age of Ultron, and it was phenomenal, right? They talked about the whole Sokovia Accords, all of that, because Daisy Johnson was a powered individual, so it impacted her. But the coolest thing was, if you go back and watch Age of Ultron, when Nick Fury shows up with a helicarrier, and he said a friend of mine helped him, that was an Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., that was Coulson. They had a whole episode that showed where he got the carrier from, and then they ended up delivering that to Nick Fury.
Oh, okay. I didn't realize that. That's cool.
So there's little things like that
Maybe they'll be putting the planet back together or something. and that's
something,
the Infinity War.
but for my personal dream, I would love to even if it was just one shot of the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. looking up and reacting.
Yeah,
I mean, just give me that.
that would be cool.
It would be awesome.
I have one question. I don't want this to sprout out another big talk like
we
like
gotta
Dad's thing did. But
X is back, dude.
Yeah.
but how did he come back to life? How did Coulson come back?
He's a scroll.
Well,
Dun, dun, dun.
go
He's
the,
not a Skrull.
the other alien race.
Chitauri?
No, who was the big war?
Kree.
Kree.
The Kree.
He's
Yeah.
a Kree?
No, he's not. But Kree technology.
Yeah.
So they had this whole thing where he went to Tahiti or whatever. It was so the Kree have been a part of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. They introduced the Kree in season 2.
Yeah, they've been using a lot of the technology
Yeah, and
through the show.
And the Kree are in season 5 now, and they have the blue screen Kree and the regular human looking Kree. But it was this old Kree technology that they found, and Shield was trying to weaponize or turn into something, and they use that. Nick Fury used that to bring Coulson back to life.
Maybe that's how they get into Infinity War
Yeah,
or Avengers 4, and they bring back whoever might die.
yeah.
Or Quicksilver.
Or Quicksilver. Yeah, if I'm going to use my bullet, it ain't on Quicksilver.
Exactly, though. I mean,
Hey, he runs fast. We got to have him to fight Thanos.
but he got hit by a bullet.
A bunch.
I mean,
A bunch
But
of
whatever.
if it was the Flash, I'd rather have the Flash because the dude can travel through time. You
Oh,
can
which, by the way,
alter-
totally, completely off topic. We need a grudge match, and I don't think it'd last long. This one. Justice League versus Avengers, who wins? We need to. I know we can't go there now, but we've got to go there.
Justice League.
Sometime
done.
soon, we got to get there.
Sadly-
Justice League.
Sadly, I like Avengers, but Justice League wins.
And it'll have to
Yeah,
be
Justice
the
League wins.
DCEU versus the MCU.
Oh,
Justice
okay,
League
that's-
because
This
there's
is like
lots of people we
the
could throw in.
first Avengers.
No,
We'll
don't get
We
into
can't do it
now.
right now, no, but I'm just saying it's got to happen.
Justice League.
All right.
Since you said Flash, I was just saying.
If you say the looks are better in Justice.
So we'll get the round set up. All right.
Except
Avengers has
Steppenwolf.
Scarlett Johansson.
Steppenwolf
Dude.
looks like
next?
he came out of a PlayStation 3.
What's next?
Can't wait.
Is it time yet? Is it time? I can't wait. Is it time yet? Is it time? I can't wait.
Can't wait is where we talk about stuff that we can't wait for, like new movie, new video games, or something like that. So I'll start. My can't wait is let me see. Let's see.
Apparently, he can wait.
I know.
Till he finds
My
it.
can't wait is Ready Player One, because Ready Player One was announced 2 years ago, 1 year.
About a year and a half ago. I mean, it's getting close.
Yeah, so I decided to read the book, and I read the book, and it was phenomenal. I recommend that you go read it because it was really good. And so after I read it, I've been searching on the internet for everything I can find for more Ready Player One stuff. I'm Ready Player One thirsty. And they let out some new photos, and there's supposed to be a new trailer Sunday, right?
Yeah, tomorrow morning. Yep.
Yeah, Sunday. And I'm excited because one of the big things that I do when books have been adapted to movies, what are the big changes? I know there will be some big changes just because Ready Player One is a movie. Well, let me explain what Ready Player One is.
Quickly.
Ready Player One is set in the distant future.
Not too distant future.
Yeah, not too distant future. And it's about this guy who made this big MMO oasis for VR, and everybody has it. That's the new life. Everybody lives in VR, not literally, but everybody spends all their time in it.
Yeah, the regular world has gone to, kaputs, and people have escaped into the virtual reality world.
I don't know how that's messing up their heads or anything, but in the story, the guy who made it died, and he said, if you can find my big Easter egg, you will become me in the VR world, and you will become...
Oh, you just spoiled that. He didn't say that.
Oh.
He said you will basically inherit my...
Yeah, you'll inherit everything that I left behind, because he had no one that he lived with, so he had no one to give it to. So we made this VR hunt.
I'm gonna beep out that spoiler. That was a spoiler, dude.
So, anyways, what I'm thinking is, one of the things is
I can't unhear that now, Jacob.
No, God.
all of the keys and stuff are based off of like 80s nostalgia. So, it's 20th Century Fox is doing it,
I think it's Warner Brothers.
or Warner Brothers or 20th
Warner
Century
Bros.
Fox.
It's Warner Bros.
So what would happen is they would have to change some of the products or some of the things because some of the things in the book aren't Warner Bros. So
Well, they can ask nicely. Now, I will say this, though. So when Jacob started reading it, I started reading it, too. And it was really cool, kind of, a pop culture thing to do together. Because, now he's coming up to me, it's like, can we watch war games? I'm like, of course! He's asking me,
to play a game?
because a lot of the pop culture stuff is from the 80s, right? And it's mostly 80s pop culture. So it's nice kind of bonding, as he's asking me about a lot of these 80s references. And then when I, get to it, I'm asking him, did you catch this? He's like, I didn't know what that was. So it was pretty cool for that.
One of the things that I could catch was the video games. Like
Joust and stuff.
Yeah, Joust. I knew about that. So I'm excited for Ready Player One because potentially if they change it, it might be changed for the better for me at least. Like think think of think of some stuff that they don't own that could be changed into like going into the sewers with the old Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles or going into a Back to the Future reference, you know.
Changing it for newer pop culture references?
No, not newer, like no, the old Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
Oh, I understand.
Like or like going and doing something like Super Mario Bros. Or something like that that more people could relate to because some of the things that they reference to like your average mom might not know about like some video games and the movie if they want to make money they're gonna have to change it to stuff that more appeals to people.
Oh, and then you have to change it to stuff that'll fit better in the movie.
Yeah.
Let's go on next.
So Kieran.
I'm gonna say I can't wait for Black Panther. The first trailer was probably one of the best MCU trailers I've ever seen, especially when some of the parts where the music like I was just like awestruck when I saw the royal talon flying through the barriers and it goes ka ka ka.
Yeah.
And then that was just sweet. I just love that trailer, and I cannot wait for that movie.
That first Black Panther trailer is definitely up there as one of the best trailers ever. Because like you said, I really think that along with the imagery, the music was like it was perfect.
The music was edited quite a lot because I pulled that song down and that is not that
Legend
song.
has it. It's the song's really good. I love it.
Run the Jewels, yeah.
Yeah.
But they took that step into the spotlight, those lyrics, and really, like you said, edited it perfect with it. Because this is Wakanda stepping into the spotlight in the MCU. This is the character of the Black Panther stepping into the spotlight of pop culture, zeitgeist. So it works in a lot of ways.
Color palette.
They're making the Wakanda. I feel like Wakanda. Granted, I don't read comics really, but I know about them a lot.
What do you do?
I know
don't read
some.
comics. You
I
don't
know
play
some.
video games.
But he knows so much.
He just
Exactly.
he reads a lot
Thank
on
you,
Instagram.
Jacob. Anyway, so I feel like sometimes in like the shows and stuff, Wakanda's kind of downgraded, and I feel like Black Panther is really showing how advanced Wakanda is, because it's like that's the whole shtick about Wakanda. Wakanda's this place in Africa that's so secretive, no one knows where it is, and it's like insanely ahead of us in technology. And I feel like sometimes people who aren't like as into comics as we are will think, oh, Wakanda is just this place in Africa and there's this guy that dresses up like a panther and attacks people. But it's so much more in depth in technology, and his suit is so much more technological than just being a panther suit. It's insane.
Yeah.
And I think this is going to represent that a lot.
I remembered seeing a meme about the trailer because everybody was hyped up, Black Twitter and stuff. Anyways, I saw the meme and it said Iron Man. He said, "I'm the most richest and smartest person in the world." And then Black Panther said, he just has this meme of turning around and being like, "What did you just say?" Because Black Panther's the smartest, like one of the smartest, like in the Marvel universe. He's like in the Illuminati. He's like number 4, number 3.
Yeah, the Marvel Universe is the only place you can like count down the top 7 for sure smartest people.
Yeah.
And I think he's 4 or 5. Yeah.
Yeah, you got Reed Richards.
There's an
T'Challa.
order.
There's a clear. They've made
crazy.
it clear. Brian Michael Bendis did that.
Cho is number 8, I think.
Yeah.
And he like says it. Anyway.
So like, when you think about it, Black Panther's one of the best superheroes ever. He's beaten single-handedly he's beaten the Avengers single-handedly, Fantastic Four. He's beaten some of the X-Men. Like Black Panther, he seems like a Batman character. You haven't really met him a lot. He's very dark. He's been in the shadows for a long time since his dad's died, and now he's coming out to the spotlight and showing, "Don't mess with me again because I will kill you." Because he's godly to some people because of how powerful he is.
He's got a lot to juggle.
I saw he was talking about memes. I saw one meme where it wasn't really a meme. It was more like a drawing someone did, and it was Batman and Iron Man having like a talk like about talking about like how which one was better, and Batman was like, yeah, I got a stealthy suit that has a bunch of like gadgets and it's not bulky like yours and we can get around like really fast. And Iron Man's like, yeah, but mine has a ton of like weaponry and it's super safe and it's like really incredible and invincible. And they were at a party, I guess, because like you can see in the background you see Black Panther like sipping a drink, and he goes, wow, wouldn't it be great if there was a suit that had both of those things? And then he said, but that's not my business, really.
That's cool. Um, so I think Kieran's is a perfect segue into mine. So I'm gonna jump in next. So my can't wait is the recent trailer that dropped, which some people call it the Infinity War trailer. I call it the next Black Panther trailer.
Yeah, because
'Cause
most of it was in
Because
Wakanda.
if you look at it, it was done very smart, right? You had a lot of people that were hyped up for getting the first trailer for Infinity War, and what they dropped was an Infinity War trailer and a Black Panther 2.5 trailer to let you know, hey, if you for anybody who's on the fence for Black Panther, guess what? Black Panther, Wakanda, everybody in there is a huge part of the MCU going forward. They're a huge part of what we're doing. And if you're an Avengers fan, you're going to love Black Panther.
I was surprised that Okoye was in it, and people like Ant-Man and, well, Hawkeye wasn't in it, but he was in it. Like his head was in it, but like you could hardly see it. And
Well, and I think they'll be in the next one, right? Because I think the next.
no, yeah, I'm not like complaining or anything, but I think you're right, because like why would you put in like Okoye, and I think Nakia was in it for a few seconds.
Yeah.
Like why would you put them in instead of these people? And I think that's exactly why.
Yeah, because if you think about what's the next best time to drop a new Infinity War trailer, it's when everybody goes to see Black Panther.
Yep.
Right? So now you have the marketing for Black Panther, the marketing for Infinity War, all pushing to Black Panther. Because if I don't care about Black Panther, but I'm super excited for Infinity War,
You gotta go see it to
now
understand.
I feel like I need to go see Black Panther to see how it's going to tie into Infinity War.
Yeah.
So they did that. I mean, they did that perfectly. And it looks like Infinity War, the way it's going to be set up, is that, they're going to break the heroes up and have kind of these multiple storylines, and one of them is clearly in Wakanda.
Yeah, there's Wakanda, there's the Sanctum, and
And
then there's the one where Thor's with the Guardians.
Yeah.
So I think they're gonna have to come together. I'm sure the climax will be when they come together.
Right, so they tease two of those, but they focus more on the Wakanda team, like the team Captain America, right? All the outlaws.
Yeah. So, what I think is going to happen is, sorry for getting.
Go ahead.
What I think is going to happen is they're gonna take Team Iron Man, adding some new characters that haven't been with Iron Man, taking Team Iron Man because we saw upgraded Spider-Man, Iron Spider, and we're gonna take those characters. We're gonna take Iron Man with Black Panther, some different characters, and then we're going to show them being upgraded a little, and then they're gonna take Guardians of the Galaxy and they're gonna show them going to Earth finally, and then they're going to come together, and they're gonna have to figure out their differences as they fight,
Yeah.
Because right now, Captain America still hasn't even seen Iron Man, I'm guessing for around a year or a few months.
He got
now.
the phone call.
Yeah. They had the phone, remember?
Yeah. So
Call me.
we
got
did
your
see
back.
Iron Man call Captain America though.
He had the
Yeah,
phone.
he does. So
So
No, he's closing the phone in the trailer, so
sorry.
So
it
he
shows
probably
he's
already-
trying to get his contacts.
So
Yeah.
the one thing that has me excited for Infinity War is, one can argue, I mean, it's very clear that the MCU is very planned out, right? So, that used to be a point of contention from what I heard with some of the filmmakers that, we had to follow the Marvel plan. It was a little too restrictive. I think they've kind of found a good balance when you look at Thor Ragnarok and what, Taika Waititi did with that. It was definitely a Taika Waititi movie, but it hit what it needed to hit for the overall MCU storyline,
Yeah,
right?
that is true.
When you come to Infinity War, they have made it very clear that that's a line in the sand, right? That is the end of a major chapter with the MCU. Everything after Avengers 4 is going to be completely different, right? It's a whole new ballgame. We've had Phase 1, Phase 2, Phase 3. It's been on a path,
Yeah.
it's a beginning, middle, end. I really feel that with these movies, they're going to feel free. The cuffs are off. They're not leading to the Infinity Story. They're not leading to Thanos. That's done, right? So they don't have to lay groundwork for anything else. They can do whatever they want.
Yeah, so
So I really think out of all the movies, these are going to break that Marvel formula in ways that we probably weren't even thinking of.
I wondered that. I wonder if they're going to try to do another set of a couple years worth of movies that has some sort of culmination. Because I don't see how you could. I like these characters, but I don't see if you truly took all the Avengers off the board, all the first set of Avengers off the board, and you've got like Black Panther, Spider-Man, Strange, and whoever else. That's a strange team. I don't think that works. Like
Yeah.
you can't make them the new Avengers. It doesn't. They would literally be the new Avengers from like 2003.
Yeah.
And that doesn't really work. And you know, without, because that team was like the street level folks, and you can't go from Thanos
Right.
to like Kingpin or something. Like that just doesn't work.
I mean, one of the things that I was thinking about is after they do this, the movies are still going to be connected. You still have some crossovers, but the movies won't be as connected. So they could make Miss Marvel, and it could be after the next movie that comes out after Miss Marvel. I mean, they don't have to be in order anymore. And also, they could make knockoff movies like they can make like a realistic version of New Avengers, like you were talking about earlier, or they could make It can make like a Spider-Verse movie or something like that.
Something I was thinking about, and that kind of brought me to this. Since the next movies you're saying might not be as connected, since we've kind of not wasted, because I think they're going to do a great job of it, but I think since we've kind of used and played the card of Thanos, who's next? Is it going to be Mephisto? Is it going to be Galactus if we're getting rights for
Might not
that?
be anybody.
So, well,
True, but I mean, they're going to do another crossover.
I think they go in a slightly different way. I do think that we do the Secret Invasion storyline, right? Because there's no real one big bad, right? That's an invading army, and you can lay those. It takes the place of the Infinity Gems, right? The Infinity Gems were the MacGuffin where that's what kind of tied them together. You can do whatever you want as long as you put a little Infinity Gem part in your story, right? Now with Secret Invasion, they can be even more subtle. Right? They're planning it all out. All of a sudden, you know, when you get to the point where they reveal the Skrulls have been here all the time, blah, 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 then you go back and rewatch those movies, and then you start to see, oh my God, that makes even more sense. And I mean, that could be really cool. So then that leads to the whole, it doesn't have to be a linear approach like they've done with all the phases where you kind of have to watch them in order. It can be kind of just jumbled up, and then at the very end you get to.
I want them to be really careful about how they use the scrolls, because when they did Hydra, they kind of said this, it was sort of similar, right? You're like, well, half of Shield's is really Hydra.
Yeah.
Well, so you play that card too many times, you're like, is anything ever really happening?
That's true.
Or is everything fake? Like so.
Yeah. And they've also done the whole alien invasion thing already too. Right?
They did the Chitauri were a replacement.
So I would try to go in a different direction than building to one big bad. But if you're gonna do it, Galactus would be pretty.
Galactus would be cool.
Yeah.
Mephisto would be cool.
So wait, before we start talking about this, let's get into our review type stuff. We don't have a movie review, but we do have our big thing we're gonna talk about, which ties in with the Galactus.
FPM play.
Review of the week.
Okay, before we get back into our conversation, big thing we're talking about this review is Disney buying 20th Century Fox. I mean, there's no big surprise that they're probably not going to, but they're probably going to buy it. Like, we're going to have confirmation about next week if they are, if they aren't.
Yeah.
This is insane. Like, I've been dreaming of this since I could dream of this. This is, I mean, it's insane. I can't wait for X-Men. Now, I don't think they're going to jump right in. They probably can't jump right in.
No.
But, oh my God, if they're going to make an X-Men movie, which they are,
So
like, I'm just freaking out.
So there's, I mean, there's a lot of pros and cons on this, right? The biggest pro for all of us sitting at this table is what they can do with the MCU. The one thing that I've been worried about for a while now with the MCU is, Kevin Feige is the man, right? He's the one that's kind of pulled the strings. He's the one who has the big picture. He's the biggest reason for the success of the MCU. After 22 movies and everything, all the groundwork he laid with the first X-Men and all the stuff he was doing before the MCU even existed,
Yeah, right.
I really felt like we could end up losing Kevin Feige to burnout. This kind of deal, I think, reinvigorates him to a whole nother level because there's a lot of stuff that he probably wanted to do that could. Well, actually, Lauren Schuler Donner, I think that's her name. She did the early X-Men movies with him, and Kevin Feige actually went to Fox, and I didn't know about this until this week. He went to Fox with a plan for the X-Men that was a lot more like what we see today in the MCU.
Oh, wow, I didn't know that.
And the Fox executive said, no, we don't want to do that. We're going a different direction. Right? He wanted to
And
start.
they epically messed up.
He wanted to start building more of the shared universe, have like the X-Men movies be basically what we're doing with the Avengers, and then have smaller movies in between with smaller characters, individual movies, and they all culminate in a big X-Men movie. And have those tied to the big X-Men storylines that we're familiar with. So like the Phoenix Saga, his idea was to kind of slowly build to that, introduce the Phoenix and all that stuff, and have these little side movies. And then when you do the Dark Phoenix story, it's not one movie. It's seeds that have been built up that culminate in this. So he was trying to build the MCU with the X-Men. So he's had all these ideas. So now I'm like excited that if he gets these new toys to play with.
And you still have the Fantastic Four too.
Speaking of Dark Phoenix, this is what I feel about that. Like, I feel like they're kind of jumping to that, especially when you just met everyone in Age of Apocalypse.
Yeah.
Because Apocalypse is the first movie that counts.
That was kind of sidetracking, but I mean,
No.
exactly that. What he just said, you
Everything else was
just
retconned
met
away.
everybody.
Yeah.
They
Every single other
literally
movie.
just rebooted it, and all of a sudden, you had half of a movie where Phoenix is good, and you literally have like a few seconds where she's even Phoenix, and she's already bad.
Yeah.
I mean, that just doesn't compute to me.
Well, and that they've, each movie they've done this whole 10-year jump, right? So they did X-Men First Class in the 60s. What was the next one with the
Wolverine Origins?
No, Days
Days of Future Past.
Yeah.
Days of Future Past was in the
And then
70s.
Apocalypse was in the 80s.
Apocalypse was in the 80s, and now Dark Phoenix is in the 90s.
So I was just thinking about this today, though. That's actually going to save Marvel, maybe, because then when I get a hold of the X-Men, I don't have to, if I just want to bring them right in within the next couple of years, instead of recasting everything, if I don't want to, I can say, oh, yeah, that did happen. It just happened in the 90s, and the Avengers weren't around in 2008.
Right. Yeah, I mean...
Or 12 or whatever it was.
Oh,
So, I mean, it's
I-
not crazy. It kind of like shoots a hole in Nick Fury's whole thing of putting together a team of special people when there's been X-Men running around for 40 years.
But the thing is that breaks that prediction is the Deadpool, because Deadpool came out 2017. So if that was the case, that means
Came out
Deadpool was like somewhere like in the world where you don't know about, but it was like,
I feel like you can do that with Deadpool though, because Deadpool could be out doing his crazy Deadpool thing
Yeah, he didn't impact anything
and
else.
just kill people and try to save his
Yeah, I mean,
baby mama, and then
But the thing is that he talks about other storylines, other big storylines with the X-Men in Deadpool that happened earlier.
true.
Yeah, all that stuff is in the past for Deadpool. Deadpool is 2016. All that stuff. I mean, we haven't even gotten into the 2000s, right?
Yeah.
So, Kieran, I think back to your point on the X-Men movies and getting there too fast. There's 10 years of stories that we don't know about and we're not going to see, right? And
Yeah.
for me, one of the hardest things to deal with these X-Men movies is those guys haven't aged that much, right? So Professor X he looks 2 years older than he did in the 60s, and now we're 30 years later, 40 years later, right? I mean, it's this whole like breaking of the mythology or whatever. Like, I just can't get into it as much because
I
mean,
can't
I like
fathom the idea. I don't understand why they even did that.
It's my name is Martha. I mean, it just kind of it's a cool thing on paper, but when you actually do it,
I guess they wanted a young Charles and Magneto for some reason, and I don't know why. And that's been cool, I guess. That's been the only redeeming part.
That's
of
probably
most
been the
of those
best
movies.
part. Like they've
Right,
they've
that's
been
what I
the
was-
best part probably.
Probably, but what you're sacrificing is who's the X-Men?
Yeah.
Like, do you even know who's on the team?
Yeah, that's
I have
true.
no clue.
Yeah, they've gone to that Magneto
Oh
well
no,
too
we
many
got
times.
we got
Yeah.
Nightcrawler, we got Jean, we got Cyclops.
Oh, you mean
and
this time, but not the
Psylocke
last
and-
time, the time before that. You see what I'm saying?
Right.
Like, who's been the X-Men?
Yeah.
Well, and
Like-
Quicksilver and Mystique.
Sometimes kind of.
But I mean, what,
Like, I mean,
Is Mystique good? I don't know yet.
she,
Like-
well, yeah, she's
no, yeah, I was being sarcastic.
and why
but
do
yeah.
that? Like, I just think that, like, the MCU has been successful at slim fasting the Marvel Universe experience for fanboys and novices alike to
Yeah.
make it fit.
Yep.
And for some reason, Fox took the X-Men, who had just as rich a history, and just chopped up names and put them on different characters for, like, no reason. It
Yeah.
didn't make any sense. He didn't serve anybody well, and he still made a bunch of money doing it somehow. So I don't
No.
know.
So one of my predictions is they're gonna have some type of Secret Wars thing going on after Infinity War if they want to bring them in like right after. So then what would happen is you would have an A versus X type thing where
Yeah.
they would fight, and then after they can make the little changes that they want to
Yeah.
the X-Men of what happened.
That's kind of what they did with Black Panther, but on a lower level in Civil War. They just kind of brought him in the fight all of a sudden. And I felt like at the moment it sounded like a kind of bad thing, but now they're fleshing him out more in his own movie.
I mean, if they could put this together, maybe they can throw something into AV4. I mean, Avengers 4.
Yeah.
Maybe. Just
Well,
to get a little glimpse in there, just
Yeah.
to bridge it.
That
Just
would be cool if,
Like they
like,
did Spider-Man.
they see like a little vision, like Thor's had his visions.
Spider-Man too.
Like if like you know how Thor had his visions about the Infinity Stones and there were some Easter eggs there.
Right.
And Thor Dark World, what they could do is they could have when he's talking about when they're talking about the reality stone and stuff and talking about how it can change reality and they're talking about all the realities that could happen. You could see like a glimpse of Deadpool or the X-Men
Yeah.
in like some picture.
There's no better retcon tool than the Infinity Gauntlet,
This is true.
right? I mean, you can close the book on that version of the MCU and start a brand new one that includes the X-Men, the Fantastic Four, everybody. And then, obviously Spider-Man's still going to be the redheaded stepchild because he has a whole little special deal.
Yeah.
I still think Kang's out there. If they
Kang,
get a hold of
yeah.
Kang, he could fix all this.
You could do
Yeah.
some interesting stuff.
Because he could be a convenient way to legitimately fix without just saying, oh, that's the reality stone.
Yeah.
It could be Kang, who literally does go around trying to manipulate the timeline a little and piecing things together. In the cartoon, my favorite cartoon, Avengers cartoon, was EMH. That was the best
Yeah.
Marvel cartoon
That was
made.
really good.
But anyway, so in
That
that,
was before they kind of rebooted. It's like
before Assemble.
Yeah.
So like it was only two
seasons,
seasons.
yeah,
It was
that's-
sick. It was really great.
Earth Mightiest Heroes. That's
Yeah.
image.
I remember watching that.
Yeah, it was sick. It was
Animation
really great.
style was phenomenal.
It was
too.
really cool. Yeah, really cool. So, but Kang shows up, remember, at the end of, I think, the first season, and he's going to be the big bad for, like, most of the second season off and on. They did a really good job of kind of weaving that in, too. But he is back to find the moment that the Avengers did whatever happened
Yeah.
that ruined his timeline. Well, here you go.
Yep.
That could be what happens. So
It could be.
That could be another reason of how to change what they want to change with the X-Men without changing the whole thing. Because a lot of people
Jane
love,
Foster, stay away from the floating thing in the pit. And everything's good.
I know, right?
Yeah,
I mean, God.
yeah, or
Kids, stop screaming and playing with the reality
Just
stone.
keep throwing the rocks in the pit and watch
know,
it
right?
fall and be happy with that. Just
Yeah.
leave it alone. Don't
Yeah.
jump in yourself, okay?
Hey, look, there's a pit where you don't die and you fall in it. Let's jump.
It's like blowing rock.
That's right. If you disappear into an alternate reality when you throw something, just don't mess with
Just
that.
leave it alone. Thanos would never find that one.
That's right.
World saved. Kids, just
Problem solved. Go back to that moment.
don't play with the
Off Jane
Infinity.
Foster if you need to,
Yep.
and be done with
Don't play with Infinity Stones, kids.
There you
You
go.
save the universe.
So the other interesting part of that, obviously, is the Fantastic Four,
yeah,
and just the
Galactus.
idea of being able to do
Good
that right.
Galactus.
Bringing in Galactus, bringing in the Negative Zone, bringing in Annihilus, bringing in Silver
Good
Surfer,
Doom.
and of course, bringing in Doctor Doom. Talk
They
about
screwed
Good
up Doctor Doom.
Dr.
to
Doom.
Doctor Doom.
talk about a good big bad.
Those big bads are amazing. Those are the classics.
Well, the thing that I've always loved about Doctor Doom, other than the fact that he's the only other character that runs the country, right? Black Panther is Wakandan.
That's
He has
exactly what I was thinking.
he has Latveria, right?
Yeah.
But even when he's not the big bad, he always pops up and is like, I found a way to make it work in my favor.
This is an opportunity.
Yeah. He's always there. He's always stepping in.
He could show up in Avengers 4
Yeah.
and grab it one stone and be like, I'm cool. This is
Yeah.
great. I got the reality stone. That's all I need. I can find the other ones.
Yeah, because that's what he did
I can
in
use the
Secret
reality
Wars.
stone to get myself the other stones.
Why not somebody do that?
That's what happens in Secret Wars. He figures out
Right.
how to become the king of like the whole universe.
But here's the crazy thing. When you look at Secret Wars, this Secret Wars is like one of the perfect uses of Doctor Doom. He shows up at this critical moment, and honestly, if he had not, everyone would have just blanked out of existence and you'd just be done.
Right.
He literally saves the multiverse as well as he can and saves like almost everybody. But in the same time, he makes himself the ruler of everything, and everything goes up to him, and he's a god.
yeah, and he gets his high school sweetheart now and stuff. He gets his
Because-
children that he's always wanted.
So how did he come back down to Earth then?
What do you mean?
They manipulated Molecule Man to kind of change everything.
Yeah.
But now he's Iron Man, right?
Well,
Sort of.
yeah, I mean he like became some like regular human, just like regular guy. And I don't know. I didn't
Like that's what he wanted to do?
I don't know. I didn't really follow that.
I need to
storyline.
get that. 'Cause
Yeah.
But
He
Why
just
would you
showed
go from being like God Doom to
Yeah, he just tried to be like some good guy. To
average Joe dude?
Yeah, I don't know what
Doom.
Bendis was doing there.
But one of my big things that I'm excited for is when you put all this stuff together, right? You have the X-Men, and they've been to the side for a long time now. Once they bring Fantastic Four and X-Men back to Marvel's full rights, they're going to be more in the comics, more
Yeah.
with Avengers. Because right now, you haven't even seen the full Fantastic Four in a comic book for like some years now.
Yeah.
So
like 10 years.
after seeing them on the screen, they're probably going to get more comic books, more merch, more stuff to deal with Fantastic
Well,
Four.
you remember they erased the X-Men from the merchandising. Do you guys see that?
Yeah.
Oh no.
So they have the classic, the original Secret Wars storyline. They have T-shirts with like the classic covers with all the
Yeah,
characters.
yeah.
They replaced the X-Men characters with other characters who weren't in the storyline.
What about like Legends though? There's X-Men Legends and stuff though.
Yeah, I mean they're still around, but in a lot of like the classic merchandise, like if you go to Target,
I know what you're talking about.
yeah, if you go to Target and buy like a Marvel shirt with all the characters, you can get a
Like
version
Miles
of that.
Morales replaced somebody, right?
No. Oh yeah, and one of the
Yeah.
he replaced Nightcrawler. Like Nightcrawler was in this thing,
Oh.
and they took Nightcrawler out and they put Miles Morales in. But it's the exact same. It was crazy, and nobody knew it. It was kind of stealth.
Cause X-Men, once they were taken from Marvel's grasp and they started making these Fox movies, they didn't want people to get confused, so they just took X-Men out. They still make comic books, but now it's like the Watchmen, where they're not the Watchmen, but an example of Watchmen in DC, how they're in the DC.
Well, they have the
universe.
Unity team,
Yeah.
but that's where they like cherry picked basically Rogue and Havoc.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the way to have the X-Men. without
Uncanny
having-
Avengers.
Hmm?
Uncanny
Uncanny
Avengers.
Avengers. Yeah.
Right.
It has like Wolverine and not
No.
anymore. He's dead now.
Never had Wolverine.
Or is he?
Rogue, Havoc, and
No, he was and like when they very first started the Uncanny Avengers, he was in a few.
Well, he was in the new Avengers. Like
he was a
when,
new.
yeah, when Bendis.
But Uncanny Avengers, it has Rogue and Havoc, and there's one more I think. Scarlet Witch. She's
Well, yeah.
yeah, she's always towed the
but
line.
she's both anyway. So
So, but what I'm thinking is, after this big thing, the big buy, the best buy, the Oculus Rift, the best buy, the savings. Once they do this, the stuff's going to happen is
savings.
what they're going to do is they're going to earn so much more money because we've had these fanboys waiting for this perfect moment.
But now,
Where Marvel buys X-Men and Fantastic Four and finally puts most of their stuff back together. Because now they have all of their characters.
but so here's the rub though, right? Fox, for all the stuff they did wrong, they were starting to take some chances, right?
Yeah.
You got Deadpool.
New Mutants.
Deadpool,
New
Logan,
Mutants.
and now New Mutants. When I heard
That movie looks amazing.
when
It could be sick.
when I heard what they were doing,
It's like a horror movie, right?
right. When I heard what they were doing, I was like, I don't know. But that first trailer, I was like, this looks
Yeah,
awesome.
Disney is not going to put out that movie.
But now here, but so
Yeah, because Disney's hasn't done any rated R movies.
Yeah.
No.
I also
Well, they
read some.
can they? I mean, can they behind their?
Yeah,
I
they
read
can't do
something
that.
about that though, like Deadpool. They were saying if Marvel gets rights to Deadpool, what are they gonna do with Deadpool?
What I think what they're going to do is they're going to take Deadpool, put him where he can, he can be with Avengers and every character. But when he's in his own movie, he's rated R.
Right.
When he's with other people, he's PG-13.
yeah, and I think that's what they're gonna do, right? Because at this point, they have proven that the rated R superhero movie works, right? It's a thing. It makes money, and at the end of the day, that's what it's about. Disney back in the day used to have Touchstone Pictures, which is where they release more adult kind of stuff without like tarnishing the Disney brand.
Yeah.
I think they can do the same thing here, right? Where you can have
So they keep the Fox imprint.
they keep the Fox name. It's a valuable brand,
Oh yeah.
but they move the more kind of adult edgy stuff. Like you can do a really cool Scarlet Witch movie that's not Scarlet Witch, but a Black Widow movie that's rated R.
Oh,
Like,
yeah.
Really cool like James Bond-esque spy movie it really goes all in on the spy.
So like Marvel Max comics,
exactly.
Well, yeah, Stan
like
Lee.
this Netflix stuff.
Yep.
Recently, Stan Lee came out with something. Well, he didn't come out with it. He let it slip somewhat on purpose, somewhat not on purpose, that they might be making a Black Widow movie. So if they're gonna do this whole rated R thing, I can't see a Black
It's a
Widow movie
blonde
that's
widow.
not.
Blonde Widow.
The Blonde Widow movie.
Well, she's not called Red Widow. Why are we going by hair color?
Listen.
Anyway,
Make the rules.
anyway,
Blonde Widow sounds awesome.
oh god,
It does sound awesome.
Atomic Blonde. Okay, we'll just call it that.
See, there you go.
Okay, any-
Crossover, Atomic Blonde Widow.
That'd be awesome.
Charlize Theron and Scarlett Johansson on the screen at once. I can't handle it.
Throw in Gal Gadot and we're good.
Okay, let me write that down.
Any-
Gal Gadot.
anyway,
You lost your track on that one.
yeah, I did. Thanks, Dad. Oh, I can't see them making a Black Widow movie that's not rated R. Her whole backstory is so twisted and
Yeah.
screwed up.
Like she
How
was
can she? Like,
Yeah. Have
in Age of Ultron,
Can't see
I almost didn't want to watch the part where they're going back in Black Widows. Because, like, I mean, she's, like, just shooting people, and she's, like, a little kid. And I'm like, I don't... They can't make that into a PG-13 movie without watering it down a whole bunch.
Yeah.
Yeah, like one of the big things that I was disappointed about, even though they couldn't really do it, was when they did Avengers Civil War and when they're doing Bucky's whole life, his life is like really screwed up. He was abused, mind washed. There was a lot of bad stuff that happened to him that you can't show in PG-13, but you can show in rated R. And that would be awesome if they had one of those buddy cop movies with Black Widow and Bucky where they work together and they
Or Hawkeye.
and it showed how they fall in love.
We still
And-
haven't seen Hawkeye's backstory. If
Yeah,
we're
it'd be
talking about
awesome to
Hawks.
see Hawkeye, and that's another rated R movie. I mean,
But there's some cool
his whole
stories.
thing.
There's some cool stories in the comics with Black Widow and Winter Soldier, like him as Winter Soldier, right? Because I mean,
Yeah.
she's Russian and he, was a brainwashed Russian operative. So there's a lot that you can mine from that. So obviously from that perspective, this deal going through is very positive for us. Now, what it does do is it does kill another movie studio, right?
That's my big concern.
Disney
So-
becomes the overlord.
Yeah, I mean, they own a lot of properties. But I mean, if you think about it, it's like you can count on one hand. There's Disney, there's Fox, there's Universal, there's
Pixar.
Paramount. Pixar is Disney.
Disney.
No, but they bought Pixar.
Right, but I'm saying the big
it's Disney.
studios.
Right, he's saying
Pixar,
the
yeah.
ones that haven't been bought by
Lucasfilm.
each other.
Lucasfilm was owned by Disney.
Disney.
So
So is Marvel.
So what
obviously.
happens is when you go to the movie theater on Friday and see what new movie's out, Disney's not going to compete with themselves, right? Fox will put out a movie against a Disney movie if they think it's strong enough, but Disney's not going to do that. They're gonna give each movie enough room to breathe. So
Like,
now instead of having a Marvel movie on May 4th, and then 7 days later you have a new Alien movie or whatever Fox property, that's not going to happen. They're going to push that thing way out. So instead of getting 10 awesome sci-fi superhero movies in 1 year, we might get 7,
I know.
right? They're going to spread out that calendar.
So
So and because they don't they want to maximize their dollars.
Well,
So, wait, can I say something real quick? So let me take you on a history lesson real quick. The Romans, when they conquered people, let's call the Romans
you learned
Disney.
that this year.
When Disney took over,
That's actually what we're talking about right now in
Yeah.
class.
yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Way to bring it home,
The
son.
Romans, what the Romans did was the Romans would conquer people and they would say, hey, you can keep your land, you can keep everything the same. We're just going to help you. We're going to give you better land, better lives. But all we want is your money and your new resources that we don't have. So that's what Disney's doing. They want more money. They want the new resources that they don't have.
Well, they did that. I mean, they did that with Pixar. They did it with Lucasfilm. They did it with Marvel. And, the biggest sticking points they say on this deal are the X-Men, right? They want them back in the fold, and the original Star Wars movie.
Yeah.
Right? 20th Century Fox still has all the distribution rights to that first New Hope. Right? So they can't do a box set of all the movies. They can't re-release them. They can't do any of that stuff.
The next thing they need to buy is Sony. Think about what they could
No.
do if they had
No,
But think about it real quick.
Spider-Man?
If they had Spider-Man and they just bought out Sony, think about what they could do on the PlayStation 2. They could sell that, and they could put in like X-Men stuff, and think of what you could do with the stuff that Sony doesn't have yet.
But you know how you crave diversity in comics
Yeah.
by race and religion?
Yeah.
You need diversity in cinema too, right? Because if you have one company, one CEO ultimately controlling all this, everything is very vanilla,
Yeah.
right?
That is true.
It's going to all be the same
It's all going to
thing.
be safe. It's just going to be a world of big blockbusters because they're going to just do that. They're not going to do small little... Like, Hunt for the Wilder People would never exist in a Disney control
Well,
film.
well, that's what I was going to say, though. Sometimes when a company becomes a monopoly or challenges that kind of idea, you get some interesting crop-ups of indie stuff.
Yeah, that
Right,
is
to,
true.
to go against the grain. That's true.
So it could be really cool. Like you think about all the hair bands in the 80s and how the alternative
Yeah.
scene grew out of that and became the scene. It could happen. I don't think monetarily anyone could remotely approach Disney unless, like, Apple and Google combine and decide to start producing movies, which could work.
That would be pretty cool.
It would be actually pretty cool. Never mind what I just said. That's
Yeah,
awesome.
yeah.
I'm going to think
Be
about that
quiet.
and
You're gonna
Blonde
start
Widow.
another.
I know, right?
Blonde
You're
Widow
gonna start
and,
another tangent.
This,
and Gapple.
Kieran, this is
Gapple and Blonde Widow.
this is the moment that Kane comes back because this is where everything changed. When he put that idea in the universe. So
Oh no!
Gapple Video. Nope. Gapple Cinema.
So we got Gapple,
No.
Blonde Widow, Good Lactus.
You know what I'm thinking about
else?
is like this is gonna be piece to the business world. Like think about it.
Yeah.
It's like then you'll have like big gaming companies coming together and think about what like Sony and Xbox could do together. Like boom, like the games they could create, the new consoles they could create would be amazing. But they're just too competitive. So if we did have this world if we did have this company superpower Disney and they literally just bought out everything.
It's like Super Saiyan Disney.
I know, right? It's like a
No,
it's-
super duper duper stand.
what do you call it? It's like a tycoon, like the Disney tycoon. Somebody's been playing for like years now, and then they finally have everything. Once they have everything, think about what you could do. Once they have the big technology companies, because they could just buy out Facebook, and they could buy out. Buying out Facebook could give them
Mark
Oculus.
Dude,
Zuckerberg
the
will
one
not
thing
let
that
Disney's not going to buy Facebook.
But why would they?
I want them to buy the rights to Oculus.
True.
And a lot of big
you
VR
got some
companies.
hardcore Disney love, man.
I just love Disney because they
I
can
got some
buy
Disney
out.
fear.
yeah.
Like if I own Disney, what I would do is I would buy out. I would buy out like Microsoft and Sony and make them work together, so
they-
then we could have great.
They've already made it clear they're not in the technology business, right? They got rid of Avalanche, which produced Disney Infinity.
Oh yeah,
They stopped making their own internal games at Lucasfilm.
they just pay people to make some
Right.
of their stuff.
They just license it out. Somebody else is better at that. They make the IP strong, and then they can make money off of other people doing it for them.
Yeah, but
Disney's not good to people like me, okay? The
Now-
dad and the mom always die.
That's right.
And look at the Marvel universe.
I
Where's
cannot-
Steve's dad? Huh?
Yeah.
I can't say like
I don't know.
I can't say a Disney movie that has both parents other than like Inside Out.
Even Marvel.
Yeah.
Howard
except
Stark and
that-
Mama Stark had
wait,
a horrible
no, not
death.
Coco. either.
They
Not Coco.
gone.
That new
They gone.
movie Coco.
T'Challa,
Yeah,
dead. I mean, T'Chaka.
Yeah.
T'Chaka. That sounds like
That's
a
his name,
type
right?
of food.
T'Chaka, yeah.
Yeah.
Just like Ramonda. I made a joke about her name earlier. I was like, Alexa, set a Ramonda for later.
Superheroes
And
don't
she-
have parents, okay?
Yeah.
Bambi don't have a mama. Superhero
She
people
set a
don't have
reminder. She set a reminder.
Mind you.
She actually did. I mean, let's just
Alexa, stop.
Spider-Man dead. Spider-Man's parents are dead.
Yeah.
Or are they spies for Hydra?
Or do they live in a train?
Wait, what?
That's what happened in Ultimate Spider-Man. They lived in a train.
That was Amazing Spider-Man.
A
the
train?
movie.
Amazing Spider-Man.
Oh
yeah,
God,
they
yeah,
lived
he's
in that
right. They
train.
did.
His dad lived in a train for the rest of his life.
He had a secret lab in the like an abandoned
In
subway.
the train.
Yep.
Yeah, remember?
No, I don't
That
remember
was dumb.
That's, that's why that
I
movie
retconned
was,
I mean,
that.
what else? Give me another superhero. Someone.
Yeah, like
I don't know if the superhero has parents. Odin's dead, maybe now. So
yeah.
no,
Whoopsie.
he's
Okay,
just like
bleep.
in the air.
Spoiler.
Like,
Done.
he's like invisible, like God. He's
yeah, he
just
just
like
turned into
sitting
energy.
there.
He's
All
pure
right.
energy.
So last topic here because we're running long. So in light of this deal basically, I mean, the MCU is doing great. This deal now gives us a potential mega MCU, right? I mean, Marvel, they're knocking it out of the park. On the flip side, we have our DC universe. We have what Warner Brothers is trying to do with DC.
Yeah.
Justice League just barely cracked 200 million, and that they came out like 3 weeks ago.
You know what I want?
Oh. They have announced that they're going to basically completely shake up what they're doing there again.
Yeah.
So,
If they did buy DC,
no, that's not happening.
but listen, before you say if it isn't
Disney's
happening,
bought the entire
Disney's just gonna
planet.
buy.
They're gonna buy Walmart,
Hey.
Apple, Google.
that'd be awesome. Disney, Walmart,
Disney
have
Mart.
all this Disney merchandise. Like,
Up,
come
Dismart.
buy our new great value Disney Mickey
That
Mouse.
sounds like Bismarck.
Hey, listen.
Save money, be Disney,
When,
Walmart.
when Iger comes here and says he wants to buy you, I don't know. They got a whole bunch of
All
money.
the smiley faces are Mickey Mouse heads.
It's like, hey,
Horrible.
he loves some Disney.
Extra low prices.
But people have argued, should DC just abandon the connected universe and just go back to what they were doing?
I want to see more of this. I like the new movies. I like the new looks. I want to see more of this. Even though I know a lot about it and I know most of what happens, they're going to adapt a lot of stuff like Marvel did. And I would love to see how they adapt it. But back to my theory, which is probably not going to happen. If they did
Tangent
buy
about buying
DC,
things.
they would buy DC like in the close future, where they've run out of ideas for in the MCU, and they buy DC, and they have their last clash of DC versus Marvel. I was like, this will probably happen when I'm like an old man
Hey,
with my white hair. I would go see that.
I will say this. With DC trying to get their act together, first of all, forget trying to be different. Put Jeff Johns in there as Kevin Feige and let him run.
Yeah.
Right? He has enough background in the comics. He has enough background in the movies. Let him make the ultimate
He
plan.
can definitely do a reboot.
Yeah.
He's done a lot of reboots.
Do Flashpoint, get it rebooted. Because honestly, everybody that I think they've cast so far has been pretty spot on.
Yeah,
I
I
think
like
they-
the new.
I think they have great actors. I think they have a general good direction. They just need somebody to steer the ship and get some other talent in there. I love Zack Snyder, but we're past the Snyderverse. Now,
Snyderverse.
if you
get that
do,
down.
Snyderverse. We're just going up with
Snyder-
compound words
Wait.
left and right.
yeah, it's gonna be like Crisis on Infinite Earths, right? There's Earth 1, there's a Snyder Earth,
There's Snyderverse,
Earth
Lucas
38.
Earth.
but imagine
Earth 1300,
imagine the bump
2300.
that DC could get if they finally allowed a DC versus Marvel movie.
Oh my gosh.
Jacob's gonna be telling his caregiver to take him out of the old folks home.
I'll be like,
Caregiver.
I'll be like, He's like,
Hey, honey, take me out of the old folks' home now.
take me out of the old folks' home.
Yeah,
Gotta
we'll
go
be long
see
dead.
this.
We'll be gone before
Yeah,
that
you'll
happens,
just
you
die.
guys will be dead. We'll
We'll come back
You'll
with.
just die in the
We'll
theater.
come back thicker bearded, wearing all black. We'll be fine. We'll have a mullet. We'll be good.
yeah.
No, they'll,
It's like Superman.
they'll cut our scenes out of the movie.
Then they'll cut us out, but
They'll
we'll
cut
see
us
it.
out.
Yeah, your mustaches will be like your
Oh, yeah,
beards will
they'll
be.
CGI our beards off.
They'll be like, whoa.
We'll flip it on them and be.
You'll make a really
completely bald and
strange
completely
smile.
clean-shaven.
Yeah.
Then your girlfriend will yell that you're
Andres, you're in Cheveria. Come back to your senses. Okay, so one more thing. If they did go with this thing, if they did go with the DC versus Marvel, they would have to add a lot of new characters for DC. If they did. No, like if they just did it like in like 2 years from now, they would still have to have a lot of characters. I mean,
Marvel has it planned for 2 years from now, and you're saying that it's gonna be when Marvel ends.
Yeah, Marvel doesn't need DC by any stretch of the imagination.
But if
DC
they
needs
did-
Marvel.
Yeah.
Disney would have to do Marvel's laundry for years to make that happen.
Look, think about it this way.
Make one nice sandwich.
You had a movie with Batman and Superman as the headliners.
And Gal Gadot.
But I mean, they weren't even if you take her out.
Don't
You
forget
had
the
a
hot
movie-
chick in every movie.
You had a movie with Batman and Superman.
And the hot chick that's in every movie.
Let me finish. Everybody in the world, if I took a picture, they could easily show. If I showed them and said, "Oh yeah, that's Batman, that's Superman," they're the two of the most recognizable characters in the world. If I took a picture of Ant-Man and Wasp, they were like, "I don't know who that is."
But
Now
the
they do.
movies, yeah, now you know.
Ant-Man and
Don't wait
Wasp.
to go.
Ant-Man and Wasp is going to make more money than Batman versus Superman. In what world should that ever be a reality?
Dude, Thor and Hulk got more money than the whole Justice League, and Justice League is, I mean,
Yeah.
yes, by a lot.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Imagine that. Justice League.
I mean, Thor was out of the Marvel movies before we started having like Doctor Strange, Black Panther, and Ant-Man.
Thor was the lowest, yeah.
Thor was the
lowest
lowest
of the Trinity, of the Marvel Trinity.
well, it's not 3. There's 4.
Nah, you don't count Hulk.
And they
was
made
a
him
Thor.
look so different.
But
like,
he's the lowest one, and you're still he still got better. I mean, he still got better payment in
And
the
Guardians.
box office.
I mean, Guardians
Yeah.
crushes Justice League.
yeah, and
who
also
are they?
when you think about
I
it,
did. I Marvel nerd here. I didn't know who the Guardians were.
Wow, that's bad.
Until the
I
movie.
knew.
Yeah.
I knew Star.
Yes, I did.
I knew Star Lord and Rocket and Groot, but I didn't know anything about the team at all.
Yeah, you didn't
Yeah,
know.
I knew about Guardians of the Galaxy, but I didn't know like
No,
their
but
origin.
The
and
Guardians
stuff.
that I introduced you to
You
were the-
introduced me to Yondu.
was
and his
Yondu,
team.
Vance
Yeah, the
Astrovik,
Charlie.
yeah, Charlie 27.
Charlie 27, Aletta, and
That's the Guardians that I grew up
That
with.
Like
would
a
that would
Jim
be
Valentino.
awesome if that's how they take Yondu back. They take him back in a younger version of himself, and
Yeah, I
then
don't want to
his
see
team
Sloth
shows
alone.
up, and then his team shows up with, and then they take some of those characters and put them in the Guardians. Because some of those people who have been in the Guardians for a while for the first 2 movies, they might want to leave. So if they did leave, they could take some of those characters and renew them like they did Yondu.
You know what you could do? You could do the Guardians of the Galaxy proper and have a future, like way off in the future. And the Yondu in that movie is a distant relative of the Yondu that we have. You have
Starhawk can reinvent himself anyway.
Yeah, and,
Yeah.
and you introduce Vance Astrovik now, and then shoot him off into the future, and he's the connecting between the two.
Who's the guy with the shield?
That's
Vance
Vance
Astrovik.
Astrovik.
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
He
if
could
Vince
be
Astrovik-
a
if he
shield
was in
agent
the
or something
past.
right now.
Yeah. Anyway,
He's the guy who crawled up after.
We
Infinite.
spent a lot of time doing this whole "if we were in charge" thing. I'm just
yeah,
saying.
yeah.
It would be funny if Vance Astrovik was some little kid in the past who crawled up and after the whole fight and took Captain America's shield. As
We're gonna have to
Iron
table
Man was
all
down.
this and
That
turn
is
it into a segment called "If Disney Owned."
Yeah, I know, right?
Dot, dot,
That
dot.
would be awesome. Okay.
Jacob,
They do.
Jacob would like to announce a new podcast. He's going to do a I Want Disney to Own the World podcast.
Yeah.
Disney go buy this and it'll be this cool.
Disney, you're gonna
Disney
go
theory.
buy Harris Theater.
We
Hey,
have film theory. We have
Disney,
game
come
theory.
by FPM Play.
Yeah, come buy us so we can do more sponsorship. And then we can get all your nice stuff.
All right,
Okay.
wrap it up.
Okay, so that's the end. Thank you for watching. Thank you for watching or listening. And you'll hear us next week, hopefully.
Yeah, I don't know. So we'll see how we do. I mean, we're getting into the holiday season, right? So if we can
It's the
squeeze,
holiday
if we can
season.
squeeze out another episode, we will. If not, we'll be
Do-do-do.
back in the new year, so in January, and we'll have the Pop Talk website launch. We'll have all the other mini episodes. We'll take the next couple of weeks to kind of get it all planned out, but look for a big relaunch in January.
Okay. Well, let's close out.
Everybody can sign off.
Yeah. Well, as we sign off, since it's the Christmas season, Alexa, play a Christmas song.
The station holiday favorites from Amazon Music.
Alexa,
Pentatonics?
play a Winter Wonderland.
That works.
Winter Wonderland by Ella Fitzgerald.
Okay, so let's
yeah.
close off. On a scale of 1 to 5, how excited are you for the Fox deal? I give it 5 red noses.
Nice, I like it.
I'm gonna give it 10.
You can only go to 5. You just
You're already,
doubled it.
already breaking the
I
rules.
You're
don't
jumping
care.
the shark.
I don't
give
care.
it-
I'm gonna
I
give
give
it
it a
20.
millennium.
Now that you've said that, I'm gonna give it 20. I'm gonna give it 20 20th Century Fox logos.
Wait. I want to change mine. I'll take it to 50 Foggy Nights.
raising it.
I know. Right?
Let's go up.
I'm gonna give it a 5, comprised of this movie that I've just been sorting out here that features Gal Gadot, Charlize Theron, Scarlett Johansson,
Good lactus.
Good Lactus, and Mickey Mouse. Why not?
Okay.
Radar.
on
Mickey Mouse showing up, shooting somebody's head off. He's like,
I'm Mickey.
he's like, coming to my clubhouse.
Maybe that's where you meet. Maybe that's where you meet all the women.
Mouse Club.
Maybe that's where you meet all the women at the clubhouse.
And then you meet Goofy, and he's like a drug dealer.
Oh, okay. Off the rails.
You want the Minnie or the Donald?
So, I think I'm gonna give it a high rating too, primarily because if you look at the track record with Pixar, Lucasfilm, and Marvel, they've let them be their own thing, and I can see where Disney can get what it wants out of the deal, but let 20th Century Fox kind of live and still be its own thing. So, I'm just gonna give it $5 quadrillion because that's how much money they're gonna make. So anyway, that's it.
Thank you for listening or watching, and we'll see you later.
Sign off.
I'm Jacob, the host. Thank you.
Go around the table.
Oh yeah. So you start.
I'm Kyle. Thanks for having me. It's a nice guest starring today. You can check me out at J Kyle Wood on all social media.
This is Kieran. Check me out on Instagram at Marvel Legogram, MarvelLegogram, and you can DM me or anything if you need to talk to me for some reason. And on to Jacob.
They're gonna talk to you because they love you.
Exactly.
For some reason.
I'm Kid JCL on everything. All I have is Snapchat and Instagram, so it's kind of barely everything. Kid JCEL. I've said this too many times, and I keep thinking people are stupid for thinking S, but I just heard it so many times. CEO to me now. Anyways, Kid JCEL. JCEL is my initials. Anyways, that's me. DM me or send me anything. Good ideas for the show. I am the host, so we do plan stuff out for later episodes. So if you do have any cool ideas or anything you'd like me to mention,
Or if you want to be on the show.
yeah, because you can call in. So yeah, thank you, and Poppy.
Yeah, and look, like I said, look for the new Pop Talk site coming soon. FPM Play will still be around, but they will be one of the shows on Pop Talk. All the information for all the hosts will be up there as well. So going to be very busy over the next couple of weeks pulling all this together.
Yeah.
But I have a lot of help, and I think it's going to be a lot of fun, a lot of cool stuff coming up. So we're getting ready to take over the world just like Disney.
Think about FPM.
We're talking about buying Publix.
Yeah, we're talking.
That's
we're,
right.
We're in the
We're in
talks of
talks.
buying
We just had
Goodwill.
them.
Yeah, we
Results come out next week.
just like Disney and Fox, we've called our banks to start getting the money together, and we're gonna buy Publix so they can bring us some food while we record. So
So
Heard that some good sushi.
you should expect our episodes for the other shows to come out soon. I hope they come out soon, and we'll see you later.
and last thing, check out FPM Play. Right now we're at fpmplay.wordpress.com. We lost our wonderful original website. Anyway, but this is episode 71, right? So Jacob and I have been doing this for a couple of years, so it's a good back catalog of episodes that we will be moving over to Pop Talk when we kind of relaunch in the early 2018 next year. But there's some good ones out there. Take a look, and thank you for listening.
Okay, bye.
Bye.
Alexa, play Winter Wonderland.
Should I add a station for I Want You to Want Me to your Pandora account?
No.
No,
What?
that's like something you would play like.
Should I add a station for No 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 to your Pandora account?
No.
No.
Alexa, bye.
Talk to you later.
Should we add a station for no? Oh man.
You need a clock.